What a time for Joe Biden to arrive in Israel. It honestly could not be worse. All eyes were on Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion Airport this afternoon, where the US President's Air Force One landed. As we saw Biden hug the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, then the Israeli President Isaac Herzog. Joe Biden also met the Israeli War Cabinet, and it didn't take too long for Biden to share his assessment on the Gaza hospital bombing. Listen in.
I was deeply saddened and outraged by the explosion at the hospital in Gaza yesterday. And based on what I've seen, it appears as though it was done by the other team, not you. But there's a lot of people out there not sure. So we've got to overcome a lot of things.
The other team, not you, says Biden, in a clear support for Israel, telling the world that no, it was not Israel which bombed the Gaza hospital. And how did Biden arrive at this conclusion? Israel claims to have shared evidence with the United States. It has also released an audio tape and a satellite image that we will play out for you in some time. But for now, let's focus on Biden's visit. It has become a diplomatic disaster. It was over before it even began. We told you yesterday, the fact that Biden is taking the risk of visiting a war zone implies that a big announcement is in store. Perhaps the opening of the gates of the Rafah border for aid, crucial life-saving aid. Yes, this news just came in. Israel will allow aid into Gaza via Egypt. This is what Israel is saying as of now. What about steps towards stopping this war? Did Biden call for calm or a ceasefire to get the warring sides to arrive at a resolution? Well, the hospital bombing had upended it all. If Biden's visit was meant to showcase to the world that the US has the situation under control and is in a position to end the war, the hospital bombing has proven otherwise. What's worse, Arab leaders have called off an emergency summit with Biden. The US president was supposed to meet Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, and Jordan's King Abdullah in Amman. That summit is not happening anymore.
In the face of this tragedy that occurred tonight, and in order to protect our people, I've decided to cut short my visit and return to my homeland, to be among my people in this great ordeal. I've also agreed with our brothers in Jordan and Egypt to cancel the scheduled summit in Amman today with US President Biden.
This was not a snub, suggested the White House, citing a mourning period. But here's the thing, it's not hard to tell that the situation on ground has left little to no scope for diplomacy. What there is ample scope for bad optics. Biden walked into this one with his other team's statement. It will be interesting to see how that statement travels in the Arab world. All the more given there is no scope for a balancing act during this trip. As all that remains in Biden's calendar now are meetings with Israeli leaders and officials alone. Listen in now to what Biden said after a meeting with Netanyahu.
And I want you to know you're not alone. You are not alone. As I emphasized earlier, we will continue to have Israel's back as you work to defend your people. We'll continue to work with you and partners across the region to prevent more tragedy to innocent civilians. 75 years ago, your founders declared that this nation would be one based, quote, based on freedom, justice, and peace. Based on freedom, justice, and peace. The United States stands with you in defense of that freedom, in pursuit of that justice, and in support of that peace. Today, tomorrow, and always. We promise you.
While the unequivocal support was very much on the expected lines, what one might have also expected following the hospital bombing is at least a word or two about international law. You know, in order to manage a complicated situation and keep the violence from spiraling. But Biden failed to deliver.
I come to Israel with a single message. You're not alone. You are not alone. As long as the United States stands, and we will stand forever, while it may not feel that way today, Israel must again be a safe place for the Jewish people. And I promise you, today I'm also announcing $100 million in new U.S. funding for humanitarian assistance in both Gaza and the West Bank.
If you've seen the headlines today, you would know a blame game is on. A massive blast ripped through a hospital in Gaza, a tragedy which has killed 500 people. We are all outraged. Everyone wants an answer. Who bombed the Gaza hospital? The Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry says Israel was behind the bombing. Israel pins the blame squarely on a misfired rocket by Palestine's Islamic Jihad group. We don't know what or who was behind this heinous crime, but in the next few minutes, let me tell you why the Palestine Islamic Jihad group is making headlines again. Question number one. What is the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, or PIJ? If you go back to the beginning, the PIJ is believed to be an ally of Hamas. The latter rules Gaza and opposes the very creation of Israel. The Islamic Jihad has been designated as a terrorist organization by the US State Department. The group's founders are Fatih Shakaki and Abd al-Aziz Oda. They were students in Egypt. They were members of the Egyptian Muslim Brotherhood, which was a Sunni Islamist movement founded by Hassan al-Banna in 1928. Sometime in the late 1970s, the two founders felt that the Muslim Brotherhood was not fully devoted to the Palestinian cause. Reports say they were inspired by the Iranian Revolution, so they created the Palestinian Islamic Jihad with one motive: to support the Palestinian cause and destroy Israel. By 1981, the Palestinian Islamic Jihad was exiled to Gaza by Egypt's government. This was after President Anwar el-Sadat was assassinated. In Gaza, the PIJ acts as a decentralized organization. Reports say that its functions are different from other extremist groups in the region, like Hamas, Fatah, and Hezbollah. It has one goal: to attack Israel and establish a Palestinian state in the West Bank, Gaza, and other areas that they see as illegally occupied by Israel. So the Palestinian Islamic Jihad is an armed group. In fact, it is the second largest armed group in Gaza. It's also sharply critical of the Palestinian Authority and its policies. The PIJ also does not participate in politics. It limits its role to military confrontations with Israel. In fact, at times, the Islamic Jihad works independently of Hamas. Now, who are the members of this group? The current Secretary General is Ziad al-Nakhala. He was born in the Gaza Strip in 1953. Reports say many of the group's senior members have been killed by Israel. In fact, the group's founder, Fatih Shakaki, who was a physician, was assassinated in Malta in 1995. Back in May this year, the PIJ had announced that 3 of its commanders were killed in Israeli airstrikes. They had pledged to avenge their deaths back then. But let's talk about attacks carried out by the Islamic Jihad. In 1987, the group killed an Israeli military police commander in Gaza. In 1994, a car bomb attack killed 9 and injured 50 aboard a public bus. In 1995, a suicide bomb claimed by the group in Israel's Netanya killed 18 soldiers and 1 civilian. There are many more such incidents. Next question: who funds the Palestinian Islamic Jihad? It is believed that Iran supplies the Islamic Jihad with training, with expertise, with money. But most of the weapons are locally produced. And while its base is Gaza, this group also has influence in the West Bank town of Jenin and is believed to maintain close ties with Iranian officials from Lebanon and Syria. Another important question: is the Islamic Jihad group a big threat? Well, Israel says yes. The Israeli military has said in the past that the group was responsible for rocket attacks against Israelis in occupied West Bank. But as this war continues to claim many, many more innocent lives, it begs the question: are Hamas and Islamic Jihad the same? No. Reports say that Islamic Jihad is the smaller of the two Palestinian groups currently operating in Gaza. The PIJ is outnumbered by Hamas, but it has its own weaponry. Unlike Hamas, the Islamic Jihad does not intend to fight for political office or open any kind of diplomatic channels with Israel. The relationship between the two may have been tense, as Hamas has told the Islamic Jihad to stop attacks on Israel in the past. But more often than not, both the groups are united against Israel. As the war on battleground rages on, a war of words has also broken out, a war of trading blame. Palestine is pointing fingers at Israel. Israel is blaming Palestinian militants, while Arab countries have picked a clear side. It's not clear which side actually bombed the Al-Ali hospital. Both Israel and Palestine, however, have presented evidence. Which one is to be believed, we may never know. Let's first look at Israel's explanation. It has shared a video of the explosion. The clip shows the hospital and its surroundings before and after being hit by the rocket. Take a look. What is the point that Israel is trying to make? Look at the frame. It compares the bombed hospital with some other sites hit by Israeli rockets. By drawing this comparison, the Israeli military is trying to highlight the difference between the two. On the right side of the image, you can see craters formed by Israel's rockets. The military claims that their weapons, especially their rockets, are high impact and that they usually create craters at the site they hit. But on the left side, which shows the bombed hospital, the military says there are no visible craters or even significant damage to the building. So what's the conclusion? Israel says it wasn't their rocket, but in fact a Palestinian Islamic Jihad rocket, which misfired. For evidence, it has this video and some technical insights. On top of this, the Israeli Defense Forces have released an audio clip. Israel is claiming it is an intercepted phone call between two Hamas operatives. Before I play it out for you, I want to make it clear. WION couldn't independently verify this clip. It was released by the IDF. Listen in.
سبحان الله من عندنا ما لقاش غيرين بجرسلي. عاد هذول تلاقيهم من المقبرة الورا دي بسلك محط فيهم. ايش اقدر بتلاقيهم طالعين من المقبرة الورا المستشفى المعمداني دي اللي هو فسه ونزل عندهم. هو في مقبرة وراه؟ المعمداني ولا عند الساحة بالضبط. هي وين لما تدخل على الساحة؟ أول ما تدخل على الساحة تدخلش على البلد عيدك اليمين في مستشفى المعمداني.
As you heard, the men claim that the shrapnel of the missile looked local and not from Israel. And what does Palestine have to say? The Palestinian Islamic Jihad has denied involvement. In a statement, the group called Israel's allegation a fabrication of lies. It also says the hospital had received public notice of evacuation over threats of bombing. Take a look at this report by the World Health Organization. It was put out 4 days ago. It says Israel repeatedly ordered the evacuation of 22 hospitals which were treating more than 2,000 patients in northern Gaza. Let me be clear again, we are not saying that it was Israel who bombed the hospital, but these are the facts that are available to us as of now.